The Doll Maker's Curse. Lena found the doll in a dusty trunk, hidden deep in the attic. Its porcelain face was cracked and its glassy blue eyes seemed to follow her. A faded lace dress clung to its fragile frame, and when Lena picked it up, she thought she heard a faint whisper. So soft it could have been the wind. That night, she woke to a voice beside her bed. "Put me back!" Lena's breath hissed. The doll lay still on her nightstand, its painted lips frozen in a tiny smirk. The air in the room felt colder than before. The shadow in the corners seemed darker, stretching toward the doll like grasping fingers. In the morning, she convinced herself it had been a dream. She carried the doll downstairs, showing it to her grandmother. Her grandmother gasped, "Where did you find that?" "In the attic," Lena said. "It's just an old doll." "No," her grandmother murmured. "That belonged to Eliza." Lena frowned. "Who's Eliza?" Her grandmother hesitated before whispering. "My sister. She vanished when we were children." After she found the doll, a cold dread settled in Lena's chest. That night, the whispers returned, but this time she understood the words. "She took me. She trapped me. Help me." A chill ran down her spine. The doll's eyes gleamed in the dim light, filled with something almost human. Gathering her courage, Lena took it back to the attic, placing it gently in the trunk. As she closed the lid, the whisper came one last time, soft, revealed. "Thank you." The attic door cracked shut behind her, and Lena never heard that doll's voice again. But sometimes, when the house was silent, she thought she heard a faint, distant whisper drifting from the attic, waiting. Late at night, she swore she could hear faint scratching sounds coming from the attic, like tiny fingers against wood. Where the silence lives. No one warned Kara about Droner's Hollow. The town wasn't on any map. She found it while driving, lost, her GPS dead. Phone signal gone, but the roads were clean, the houses quaint, and a sign read, "Welcome to Droner's Hollow. Population?" She stopped at a gas station to ask for directions. But the old man at the counter just stared, mouth slightly open, eyes wide. No sound, not even a hum. No music. No birds, just silence. "Can you help me?" she asked. No reply. He pointed to a notepad and scribbled, "No one speaks here. Please leave before it hears you." "Before what?" "Before what hears me?" Kara tried to laugh it off, assuming the tone was eccentric. But everywhere she went, it was the same silent faces, wide eyes, gestures, never a word. Children played in utter silence. A dog barked. But no sound came out. Even her own voice began to sound wrong. muted, distant, like yelling underwater. That night, she stayed at a roadside inn. The owner handed her a key, avoiding eye contact, mouthing words she couldn't hear. He held up a sign, "No noise after dark. It listens underground." Kara didn't sleep well. Around 2 a.m., the silence was broken by a faint tapping from under her floorboards, the scraping, the breathing. She froze, heart racing, afraid to move. Then, from the closest, came a whisper, her own voice, repeating her words from earlier that day. "Can you help me? Hello, is there anyone?" Over and over, like something was mimicking her, mocking her. She bolted from the room. Outside, the townspeople stood motionless, all staring at her, eyes filled with silent terror. One mouthed, "It knows your voice." Kara fled. She found the highway. She found a signal. She escaped. But sometimes, when she's alone and everything is quiet, she hears her voice coming from somewhere else. And it's still talking. "He can't see me, but I'm here," Lena first noticed in a cafe window. She turned her head, but her reflection didn't. It only lasted a second, a glitch, a trick of light. That's what she told herself, but the next time it smiled when she didn't. Every mirror, every surface that held her image, it was wrong. Sometimes slower, sometimes just off. She tested it, raised her left hand. Her reflection raised its right. She blinked once. It didn't blink at all. It watched. Lena stopped using mirror. She covered the bathroom wall with a towel, turned her phone camera to face away. But the reflection didn't care. They found her way. In windows. In puddles, the dark computer screens. The reflection grew bolder. It mouthed words Lena didn't say. It moved behind her while she stood still. One night, while brushing her teeth, she caught her reflection staring, not at her, but past her. She turned. No one there. When she looked back, the mirror was empty. The reflection was gone. She didn't sleep that night. By morning, she had convinced herself she should gone a little stir crazy, stress, lack of sleep, until her boyfriend Mason walked into the kitchen and asked, "Why were you standing behind me last night?" She hadn't been. She had been locked in her room. Later that day, she checked her phone camera out of habit. And there she was, not her face. It's smiling. Eyes too wide, skin too smooth. It whispered from the screen, though no sound came. "He can't see me, but I'm here, and I'm almost ready." Lena threw the phone across the room, but on every screen after that, her laptop, the microwave door, even the stainless steel toaster, it stared back. Mason started acting distant, cooled, like he didn't recognize her anymore. She caught him smiling at the mirror once, whispering something. She asked what he said. His answer, "I wasn't talking to you." The Sky Lantern Mystery. Every year on the eve of the autumn festival, the villagers released sky lanterns into the night, sending their wishes into the heavens. 11-year-old me loved watching them drift over the lake, but this year something was different. One lantern didn't float away like the others. It hovered, waiting. May felt a strange pull in her chest. Without thinking, she followed it. The lantern drifted toward the forest at the village's edge, waving between trees as if leading her somewhere. The deeper she went, the quieter the world became. No wind, no crickets, just the soft glow of the lantern lighting her path. Then through the mist, she saw it, a hidden shrine. Long forgotten and covered in ivy. At its center stood a small stone altar, and upon it rested something delicate, an old yellowed letter. Me hesitated before picking it up. The moment her fingers touched the paper, a warm breeze stirred the breeze, as if the forest itself had sighed. The letter was addressed to Lynn, her grandmother's name. Heart pounding, me carefully unfolded. "My dearest Lynn," the letter began, "though time separates us, my heart never forgets. One day, I hope you will find this and know the truth. I never left by choice. I was taken far away, but I never stopped thinking of you. If you ever wonder if I loved you, know that I always have." Tears blurred me's vision. She recognized the handwriting. It was her grand-uncle Joe's, the brother her grandmother had lost when they were children. For years, no one knew what happened to him. Some said he had run away, others whispered of kidnappers. But no one ever found the truth. Until now, the lantern flickered, its glow soft and warm. Me understood. This was Yo's wish, carried by the festival's magic. Finally finding its way home, clutching the letter, Me turned and ran back to the village. The night she placed the letter in her grandmother's hands, Lynn's eyes filled with tears. And she traced the familiar handwriting. She looked at me with a trembling smile. "You found him," she whispered. Outside, the last of the sky lanterns faded into. Dead twice. Adam had never believed in the supernatural. He thought ghosts were just stories, shadows of folklore meant to scare children. That was until he woke up in a hospital room, confused and alone. With no memory of how he had gotten there, the doctors told him that he had been in a car accident, a terrible crash. His body was battered and broken, and they weren't sure how he had survived. They said he had been clinically dead for over an hour before his heart miraculously started beating again. It didn't make sense, but the strangest thing was that Adam couldn't remember the accident. He could not remember anything about the crash. only flashes of life before it. A life that felt wrong. As days went by, Adam tried to put it all behind him. He returned to his apartment, picked up his routine again, and tried to forget about the strange sensations that something was off. But every night, as he drifted into sleep, he dreamed of the same thing. A mirror. In the dream, Adam would stand before the mirror, his reflection smiling back at him. But it wasn't him. It was someone else, someone he didn't recognize. One evening, while looking through old photos, he found one of his childhood. There was a face in the background he didn't recognize, a pale, twisted figure standing just behind his younger self. The face was blurry, but there was something disturbingly familiar about it, and then the feeling of deja vu hit him like a wave. It was the same face from his dreams. Adam tried to ignore it, but the dreams grew more vivid, more real. He woke up to find his reflection was no longer his own. He would see himself standing by the bed, watching him sleep. Sometimes his reflection would smile, or worse, it would be staring at him with a look of pure hatred. He realized the truth far too late. He had died in that crash, and the man in the mirror wasn't just his reflection, it was the one who had taken his place. Granny's other room. Then Arya was sent to live with her grandmother. For the summer, she thought it would be all cookies and bedtime stories. But Granny's house was strange, too quiet, too cold. And then there was the door at the end of the hallway. It was always locked, painted the same pale green as the walls. It almost blended in. Almost. Never open that door, Granny's warned, eyes sharper than usual. That's my room, the one for before. Arya didn't understand. Before what at night? She heard soft movements behind the door. Footsteps, creaks, sometimes humming. Granny lived alone. Arya asked her about it once. Granny only smiled oddly. She gets restless sometimes. Curiosity clawed at Arya until she couldn't resist. One afternoon, while Granny napped, Arya stole the rusted key from under a loose floorboard she'd seen Granny use. She creeped to the door, heard pounding, and turned the key. The air behind the door was ice-cold. The room was dimly lit by a flickering bulb, and everything was identical. Same wallpaper, same furniture, but it was frozen in time. Photos on the dresser showed young women, Granny but glowing, wild-eyed and dangerous. Beside her, a man with hollow eyes. In every photo, the man grew more twisted, more terrified. A large wardrobe stood in the corner, its door slightly ajar. Inside, something breathed. Arya backed away. The door slammed shut behind her. From the wardrobe, a heart reached out long-fingered, too pale, And then a voice, low and bitter. "You opened the door." She said you would. The wardrobe burst open. Out stepped Granny, but younger. Her face was cracked porcelain, her mouth stitched into a smile, threads of shadow. "She kept me locked away," the other Granny hissed. "But now you have set me free." The lights went out. When Arya awoke, she was back in her bed. Granny hummed in the kitchen, making tea. Everything seemed normal, except the locked door was gone. And Granny's eyes, they were the wrong color. Ravi first noticed it on a quiet afternoon. He was walking home from school, his bag heavy on his back, when he caught something odd out of the corner of his eyes, his shadow. It wasn't quite right. The sun was behind him, so his shadow should have stretched forward. But instead, it moved sideways, shifting unnaturally as if it had a mind of its own. He stopped. His shadow didn't. He took one more step before realizing he wasn't moving, then snapped back into place. Ravi's heart pounded. Maybe he was imagining things. Maybe it was just the wind, or a trick of the light. But then the shadow twitched again. This time it waved. Ravi ran. He sprinted down the street, not daring to look back. Bursting into his house and slamming the doors shut, his breath came in gasps as he pressed his back against the wooden surface. Slowly, he glanced down. His shadow was beneath him, perfectly normal. Had he imagined it? Shaking his head, Ravi went about his evening, pushing the thought aside. But that night, as he lay in bed, he saw it again. The dim glow of the street lamp outside cast a faint shadow of him onto the wall. At first, it was still. But then it moved. Ravi froze. The shadow lifted its hand and pointed toward the window. A chill crawled down his spine. "What do you want?" he whispered. The shadow pointed again. This time, the message was clear. "Follow me," against every ounce of logic, screaming to him to hide under the blanket. Ravi climbed out of bed. The moment his feet touched the floor, his shadow slithered forward, gliding ahead of him. It led him to the window. Outside, the street was bathed in pale moonlight. Eerily quiet. The shadow waited expectant. Ravi hesitated, then opened the window and climbed down the ledge. As soon as he touched the ground, the shadow darted ahead. It moved faster than a normal shadow should, stretching unnaturally around corners and slipping through gaps where no light touched. It led him to an abandoned house at the edge of town. Ravi's stomach twisted with unease. He had always avoided this place. It was rumored to be haunted. His shadow slid under the door. Ravi swallowed hard. Then with trembling fingers, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air was heavy, thick with dust and something else, something ancient. And then he saw them. Shadows, dozens of them, but there was no people, only the shadows. Standing, shifting, watching. His own shadow moved forward, blending into them, becoming one of them. A whisper filled the air, like voices speaking from the walls. "You are one of us now!" Robbie turned to run. The door was gone, and then he realized he no longer had a shadow. Don't blink in the forest. It was supposed to be a weekend hike, just another trip into the woods to clear his head. But Alex soon learned that his forest was different. He noticed the whispers the moment he entered, but it wasn't the wind. It was watching. The trees seemed to shift. The air felt thicker, heavier. He ignored it, but then came the warnings. "Don't blink," a voice echoed, faint yet unmistakable. He looked around. No one was there. A few more steps and he heard it. Again, this time louder. "Don't blink!" A rustle in the bushes caught his attention, and he turned just in time to see nothing. The path stretched ahead as it always had. Empty and still. But then he realized something. He hadn't blinked since hearing the warning. His eyes burned, they watered. His vision began to blur. Another step forward, and the whisper came once more. This time, frantic, almost panicked. "Don't blink." His body screamed for rest, but Alex knew if he blinked, it would move. The creature in the forest, it only moved when you weren't looking. Alex forced his eyes wide open, willing himself not to blink, but he couldn't go on. Like this forever. His skin was dry. His eyelids felt like they were made of stone. He stumbled, trying to move faster, but the shadows shifted in ways that made his skin crawl. The whispers got louder, surrounding him. He could hear it now. Something moving behind him, just out of sight. He could not blink. With his last ounce of strength, Alex ran, eyes stinging, heart pounding. But when he finally reached the edge of the forest, he collapsed in the clearing. The thing was right behind him, and it whispered in his ear, "You blinked." The roommate in 3B. When Kalia moved into apartment 3C, the landlord warned her not to knock at 3B's door. "Place my empty," he said. "Just leave it alone." She assumed it was under renovation, until she started hearing footsteps from the other side. At first, it was just at night. Soft, slow pacing, then came the tapping, always in threes. Tap, tap, tap. One night, she tapped back. tap, tap, tap. I reply, tap, tap, tap. She pressed her ear to the wall and whispered, "Hello?" A voice whispered back, low and wet, "Found you." Kalia jumped away. The next day, she asked the landlord again. "I told you it's empty," he said, avoiding her eyes. No one's lived there since. He trailed off. That night, she dreamed of the door to 3B. It was open. Inside, the walls pulsed like lungs. A shadow sat cross-legged, smiling with too many teeth. She woke up screaming. But the worst came the next evening. There was a knock at the door. She looked through the peephole. No one there. Then, tap, tap, tap. But not from the hallway, from inside her apartment. She turned slowly. There, standing in her kitchen, was a man. Or what had once been a man. He was thin, sunken, with a stitched mouth and rotting skin. In one hand, he held a key. "Roommates," he rasped, "we always share." Kalia ran. The door wouldn't open. The windows wouldn't budge. He tapped on the wall again, smiling. "Your turn in 3B." By morning, the apartment was empty. The landlord shrugged as he had handed a new tenant the key to 3C. "Just don't knock on 3B," he said. "Why not?" the new girl asked. He smiled weakly. "Bad neighbor." The second birthday. It started with the envelope, plain, no return address, on Lily's doorstep. Inside was a single card, "Happy birthday." But it wasn't Lily's birthday, not for another 6 months. She tossed the card aside, thinking it was a mistake. The next morning, another envelope, same handwriting, same plain card, "Happy birthday, Lily." This time, it included a photo, Lily asleep in her room, taken from the foot of her bed. Her blood ran cold. She lived alone. She called the police. They searched her apartment. Nothing. They told her it was probably a sick joke. The next day, another card. "Blow out the candles before they blow you out." No photo, just wax. Red wax smeared inside the envelope. Or maybe it wasn't wax at all. Lily didn't sleep that night. The fourth day, no card came. Instead, her lights flickered. Her TV turned on by itself, showing static. Then an image broke through a grainy party. Balloons. A cake. A girl that looked exactly like her, smiling wide, surrounded by strangers with blank faces. Lily screamed and yanked the cord from the wall. The screen stayed on. A voice whispered from the TV, "Time to make a wish." The lights died. The static fell silent, and from the hallway, someone began to sing, off-key, slow, a birthday song. But not for the birthday she knew. When police entered Lily's apartment the next day, everything was normal except for a cake sitting perfectly on her kitchen table. 6 candles melted down to ash, and the message written in the reds rising: "Happy second birthday, Lily." They never found her.